Hello and welcome back. I am Gar1onriva and I'm joined again by Moo.
Hello.
And we are back with our top 5 sci-fi games. We did 5 through 3 last time, and this time we're going to be doing 2 and 1. If you missed the 5 through 3, it is linked in the description. Go check that out first. And just going to go through the 3 things you need to remember. These are our personal opinions, so please don't tell us we're wrong. These are limited to the ones we've played or seen, and we won't be giving spoilers, so you shouldn't either. So, cracking straight on with Moo's number 2.
Rimworld. And it's cowboys in space, really. It's your ship has crashed on a planet. You must survive and build yourselves up and get back into space, is the gist of the game. But the journey is, well, let's say it's space cowboys, so not only are you having to defend yourself against human raiders trying to take everything you have, they're also giant evil robot maggots, I guess you could describe them as.
Yeah.
And yeah, I used to love cowboys, I still love space, so this just ties in so well, and the setting and the aesthetic, even though it's still a top-down blocky building game, the sort of feeling you get from playing it takes it much more than that, and the soap opera in space thing, I guess, works for it as well. You get so attached to your characters, and then seeing one of them die to a giant alien robot maggot will upset you so much.
Again, I kept reloading when that happened to me. I'd always get annoyed when, like, I'd have 2 guys, one in front of the other, and one would just shoot the other in the back of the head repeatedly. Fucking horrendous. Can they not aim round them? I really considered having Rimworld in my list. I considered it for number 5. But then it's like, the things that I like, the sci-fi elements that I like in Rimworld were added by mods, expanding on what's already there. Like the prosthetics, you know, the artificial body parts. That's cool. But I had a mod on which allowed you to sort of build your own and have everything from, like, eyes to legs that aren't just freakishly expensive to make or to buy. And that was the bit I liked about it. But yeah, that's a good choice. Geran's number 2. Mass Effect 2. I haven't actually played Andromeda, and I haven't finished 3. But of the Mass Effect trilogy, the original trilogy, 2 is by far my favourite. Mass Effect as a franchise has some of the best sci-fi in any game ever. I mean, it's a BioWare game, so the writing is phenomenal overall. But it has fleshed out races with histories and futures, except the Asari. I'll come back to them in a moment. It has detailed, explained technology. It has extensive galaxy-wide plots, even if they can be a bit pretentious. And of the games that I've played in the Mass Effect franchise, 2 has the best application of it. I said no spoilers, so I can't really go into details about why, but yeah, generally 2 is the best of them, and I think it has some of the best applications of it as well. But going back to the Asari, they are literally in Mass Effect for the sole reason of one of the designers wanted a race of hot women. That's the only reason that the Asari exist.
I never knew that.
So after I found that out, I sort of went off the Asari. Then again, I was never that keen on them anyway. But, yeah.
I would say, yeah, that's quite good. The sci-fi setting in that is great. Like, you've got the aesthetic of the ships for all the different races. The main threats in the game are scary, I'll give them that. The technology and the lore behind things like the mass relays and the Citadel, and the explanation of why the ships and stuff have powerful engines, artificial gravity, things like that, are all explained in depth, and it's not the typical techno babble of, oh, we found this blah 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 that can do blah blah blah, and therefore blah blah blah. It's
Except Ezo. That's a little bit, you know, convenientium.
Yeah, but usually it's built up and explained through the actual lore of the game and builds up the entirety of the story as well as the sci-fi setting behind it, and it's all entwined. So yeah, I'd say a good pick for number 2.
And Moo's number 1.
EVE Online.
I saw that coming a mile off.
I figured you would, and
yeah,
it's a game that not only is a brilliant game, the setting and lore behind it is amazing, and I'm still playing it after 11 years.
Every so often Moo will say, right, I'm going to go play EVE now, and it's like, I will mourn for you.
And it's a game where you were a human and you've paid for an expensive treatment to have yourself turned into what's called a capsuleer. You essentially live in an egg for the rest of your life and you're an immortal, which is how the game explains what happens when you die. You just get cloned. And it's the standard MMO. Rather than being the typical MMO roller coaster, it's more of a, I wouldn't say sandbox, it's more of a beach. Because it's huge, there's so much to do. You want to become an industrial powerhouse using these massive mining ships to collect ore, build ships for people to buy off you. People form empires and groups, and it's just so in-depth. And the sci-fi setting of it is amazing. I
have absolutely no experience of EVE. I generally dislike MMOs, just by standard, really, just because I have no patience for the commitment they require.
It's a game where not many people play it, but almost everyone has heard of it because of the stories that come from it.
And that brings us finally to my number 1, Prey. This is new. This is very new. It came out like a couple of weeks ago. And I love it. It's utterly fantastic. I've played it through entirely. While the world of Prey isn't as well explored as in Mass Effect, Fallout, or even Half-Life, what there is there is presented so beautifully. It's this, the entire game takes place on a space station, as you probably know. But the tech is sleek, it's realistic, and it's logical. I mean, it's, I say realistic, there's like recycling of anything just by putting a sort of device near it. But it all sort of follows its own logic, and that's sort of all you can really ask for in sci-fi. If it follows its own canon, then you can sort of let it go. There are pros and cons and reasons for being for like all of the technology. What I didn't know is that it actually takes place in an alternate history, which gives leeway for whatever setting it wants to conjure. And it has a depth and lore to the aliens and the tech that you just don't see every day. But most of all, what is there is so goddamn stylish. It's a beautiful looking game. The way it sort of explains things and shows things off is done so stylishly. And I sort of compare it to BioShock in sort of the broad strokes it uses. And I just think it's just so much smoother and better polished. I mean, admittedly, it is, 10 years younger than BioShock, but even if it doesn't have the deepest sci-fi, which I still have to give to Mass Effect, Prey just has the coolest.
It does have to say something for the game to have been out a few weeks to then make your top 1 list. So it's got to be there.
I could not stop playing it until I finished it. I have 39 hours in it, and I've actually done a full review of it on my website, which will also be linked in the description, so you can go check that out if you want a sort of proper review, a bit less gushy-ish, of Prey. And that is all for our top 5 sci-fi games. Be sure to comment below with your favourite sci-fi games, as well as suggestions for future top or bottom 5s. Remember that you can always vote for next month's top 5 by pledging to my Patreon, which is also linked in the description. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much to Moo for joining me.
Goodbye.
And we will catch you later.